My God can heal anybody. Yeah. My God can do any miracle. Yeah. My God can do what no man can do. Ooh, I will lift him higher, higher. Yeah, higher. My God can do what no man can do. I will lift him higher, higher. My God can do what no man can do. I will lift him higher, higher. Yeah, higher. My God can do what no man can do. I will lift him higher, higher. Yeah, higher. My God can do what no man can do. You can do what no man can do. What to say? It's just a sign. No other God, no other God besides you, Jesus. Your word is so strong, it moves the mountain. Faithful God, you are faithful God. You are worthy of my praise. You will do, you will do, you will do, you will do, you will do. You will do what am I can do. I will lift him higher, higher. Yeah, higher. My God can do what no man can do. I will lift him higher, higher. Yeah, higher. My God can do what no man can do. Nothing else can take your place. No one else can take your place. What you say you will do, that is what you will do. No one can change your place. No one can change your power. Good evening, welcome. I'm Afonso Zenso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. This is the voice of K Praise, is a Liberian gospel artist making a contribution here. Welcome to all our viewers and listeners. This is the Liberia Public Radio, and this is Lpr-Tv Live with the Panelists. Welcome to Abawe Unit. May tonight, of course, Amadou is working to Ibrahim, our man to Dualo, 10 Morris. Good evening, welcome. This is the Liberia Public Radio. My God can do what no man can do. I will lift him higher. Not forgetting that man Stephen Chair and a man executed from the voice of Salno, all chilling this beautiful, beautiful Thai evening here from the East Coast. What I'm based, please, if I'm audible, just give me a thumbs up. I just got this. I ordered a mixer or something strictly digital. So we'll try to catch up with the digital world. So this is the first trial. This is the first test. If I'm audible, just give me a thumbs up just to make sure that, you are here for the purpose as well. Welcome to the show. Okay, good evening, folks. Welcome. I'm Afonso Zenso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome you to the show. Let's get the ball rolling. Hopefully, the panelists are going to be joining me here. If you're following, just hit the share button for us in the interest of a good conversation so that you invite someone at your company. Let's get the ball rolling. Okay, let's get a ball rolling here. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us here on the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Of course, I'm Afonso Zenso right here. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe.
Thank you for joining us here. This is LPR Live with the panelists. Hopefully, the panelists are going to be joining me here for us to have a conversation. A lot is unfolding in the country. The bombshell, almost probably equivalent to that of Julia Hassan, with Minister Samuel Toure, with all of these revelations coming out. The president is out of the country 52 days. A lot is unfolding. The status of LIGIS and senior government officials, what will happen. Seditions, pro-government supporters are now calling or planning a potential protest to ask the career ambassador accredited near the capital of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Michael McCarthy, a long-term diplomat in a foreign mission. We are hearing pro-government supporters are now planning to demonstration to call on the ambassador or asking the ambassador to leave the country. Are we heading on a slippery slope? It's almost like a Samuel Doe, those days I remember calling on Liberians, we will pay America debt. What are they getting this advice? None yet, nothing much is being heard. Despite of the bombshell, LIGIS deputy director losing his position with immediate effect coming from outside while he's away. What is happening within the Bellwell, within the establishment of the mighty Congress for Democratic Change? The clock is eating away. Uncle Sam, more likely, tightening his grip. Will the wrath of Uncle Sam will still be felt on Liberians and potential government officials or those who already been sanctioned? I've never seen the ambassador to been very vocal. His action, his involvement is almost equivalent to that of William Swint. You remember William Swint? Most of you during the administration or during the presidency of Samuel Doe, William Swint was he was the ambassador near the capital. He was very vocal. But who is who was this guy, Michael McCarthy, this career diplomat accredited near the capital of Monrovia? He's a career member of the Senior Foreign Service class of ministers of councilors. He's been in the Foreign Service for quite a long while. McCarthy formulated office of the retirement in the Bureau of Human Resources in the State Department, Deputy Chief of Missions Embassy in Juba, formerly Southern Sudan. He was also ambassador in South Africa, U.S. Consulate General, Frankfurt, Germany. The country's desk officer for East Africa. He speaks many languages, French, Thai, English, Spanish. So he's a career diplomat. So what is happening right now? While with pro-government demonstration, even on it, as we are hearing, they are planning for a massive protest against what they call the ambassador's involvement in the political process in Liberia, and perhaps it's crossing over the line. And most of them don't know he was one of the players with this whole Ukraine thing. He's been in the Foreign Service for quite a long while. So where is these advices coming from that our folks, our Liberians, those on the different political sides of the aisle, is now planning protests? And if it is to some, this is what we are hearing. And we hope this shouldn't be the case. Let's see here. Okay. We will force him out of Liberia. Let's see here. We will force him out of Liberia. Government supporters plan protests against U.S. Ambassador Michael McCarthy. How dangerous is this? To force a career diplomat. Is that where we want to go? Is that what we want to do? Well, our team of panelists, analysts, contributors of the Liberia Public Radio standing by. They will be right here, right now. We're going to be having this conversation. And the slam dunked, almost, is that Julia Hassan, almost on the major eve of a process? You remember that emailed dumb? He's now holding back. The former dismissed LIGIS deputy director. He's not holding back. He's on the attack. He's putting forward documentations believed to be illegal transactions carried out by one of the president's confidants, Minister of Planning and Economic Affairs, Minister Samuel Tuwe, a benevolent dictator. That's one of his word use. It is not my creation, by the way, just to let you know. What would their relationship be there? What is happening? Are these revelations or these coming out of the former LIGIS director? Are there more arguments? Yeah, he predicted that the censor were not going to be possible. And I've been listening. I've been following on the sister network. He's been very articulate. He's a proud sedition, but he's speaking out. It's happening within the government, the GO government. Can this also happen within the opposition? Can this stand up to some of the ills that are happening? Well, Jennington Tired Dolake is a contributor to the Liberia Public Radio and strong supporter of political or opposition's Alexander Benedict Cummings. They are making massive preparation here, but he's here. We're going to be having this conversation here. This seems to play out good in the favors of the opposition because things falling apart. And when things fall apart, the central can no longer hold. Let me bring in Jonathan here this evening for us to have a conversation. Folks, if I'm audible, just give me a thumbs up here. Like I said, our man, the liberal progressive, I will try to be nice. By the way, there's no way that I can displace this here, but this board, and very surprisingly, I saw this come here. Jonathan, let me just welcome you. Good evening and welcome.
Yes, good evening, Mr. So. It's quite wonderful
good.
to be back here again to talk about country.
All right. Am I well audible?
Yeah, very loud too.
Okay. Couple, Tom, please, Fanning, somebody please give me a thumbs up. The liberal, he think he's going to hold me down. I will have to display it. He bought this Mexico Rodecaster Pro. It's all in one. Very beautiful. What if you tap the name of this? It's almost like almost $1,000. It's still learning how to get it used. But he think when he acting that kind of way, he think that we're going to keep me quiet. That's not going to keep me out. But I think it's good to mention that was nice on the part of liberal. I don't like the missile you saying. Sometimes when people talking, I hear like, okay, go and find the one that you will hear me talking and hear me screaming this and that. And all of a sudden, when I look, Amazon, I just came and I look at it brand new. It has a capacity, you can record, you can do this. The hard tech too much, so I'm still learning on it, and he's going to help me. Okay, Jonathan, good evening and welcome.
Yes, good evening, Mr. So. It's quite wonderful to be here again to talk about our country and its forward.
Okay. All right, good. Let me see here. Folks, you bear with me. This thing here, we won't go hard tech, and sometimes it's a pain in the neck. You gotta tweak and check the buttons and all of that to make sure the audio is well adjusted. Okay, let's start on something first here. That has to do with the pro-government supporters. The ambassador, our U.S. ambassador near the capital, is not holding back. We saw the statement, we saw the positions of the embassy. And usually when you see these things happening, and that's why most of our people don't know, these things are coordinated. I, like you know, sister, Peter. Hey, sister, you want to start trouble here? Come on, it's here. Don't make a liberal can't get mad and can't. I'm still learning the mixer here. He's doing it for the good of the country. They're not to pay, but they're not pay to play business here. He wants the best out of LPR. But on a serious note, what we're seeing happening here, it reminds me of the presidency of Samuel Doe. I remember that vividly. Then ambassador to William Swing, a career ambassador, or equivalent to that of Ambassador to McCarthy. His involvement, a lamb being worn. It's quite amazing to see people that have been sanctioned, that they are still actively, and they say, well, politics is not, they are not at the bar. These people, they are monitoring. They know more than you and I. And they are still sounding this alarm here. Nathaniel McGee is all out there. And when he's out there, he calls the name of the president. In one of his rallies, not only voting for him is voting for President George Weah. And you see the GMW face here. And those people, they are right within the capital, that they are right there. They are monitoring this. They are worried this. Who is he doing harm to? Is he doing harm to himself, or is he doing harm to GOL or President Weah, who most likely will be recontesting the presidency?
And so, again, thanks to our audience who are consistently following our broadcast, for their patience and dedication to this platform. I'd like to say that the former sanctioned Minister of State and friend to the president is not just deliberately carry on these actions against warning from the Treasury Department and the U.S. government.
Let me bring in Cesar Goyo here. He's also a journalist, our senior contributor. He's based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Cesar, good evening and welcome.
Thank you. I couldn't miss Jonathan. He's been running away from this show for a long time. Thank God you're today here.
What's going on with a mouse? I can't see the mouse trying to find little crumbs and things.
I'm tagging the man in the chat there to make it stick up.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
But I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine. We have been running out here. You know, your presidential candidate just came to Sacramento. It was his second time coming to Sacramento, and mine is coming December. So we are trying to create the necessary awareness. So that is why. But to the issue of McGill, you know, McGill is demonstrating clearly, in clear public glare, that indeed President Weah is an accomplice to the wanton stealing of state resources in our country. My credible information up to today states that Minister McGill, the former Minister McGill office is locked up. Nobody enters that particular government or ministry or that particular office. It was quite embarrassing today that former sanctioned Minister McGill appeared in Bapolu County, and while he was there, one of his stooges came up and said that they are going to campaign against the record of the U.S. Credible ambassador to the government and people of Liberia. And that was embarrassing. It was appalling. The fellow went further to say that he was giving message to President Biden. I think it was unfortunate. In that same spirit, Minister McGill, again, God being God, he came out to say that he entered the university 2005 and graduated 2001. I mean, these are some of the pressure. What I can say to our U.S. partners is that we appreciate their efforts so kindly. The tendency of transparency that exists in that country, we appreciate it so highly. And that is why we as people, we will stand by their side. Some of the revelations coming out of the LIGIS, it is quite demonstrating clearly that indeed all of the women of corruption is now visible, is now clear, facts can now be pointed to, the pieces of evidence are in abundance, and all we can say right now is that Minister Samuel TWEH should make the sanction list. I'm emphatic on it. Minister TWEH should make the sanction list, and the government people of the United States who have supported our government in order to give us the standard that is required, because the gullibility in our country and lack of education, people always hold the U.S. government responsible because of our long-standing relationship. But it is because we have not had a kind of government that will look after the resources that are deployed in our country to reach across the nation and make better life for our people. So the best they can do for us right now, it is not politics, it's not because of political parties, but mothers are delivering on the highway where there is no road, where bridges are now over waters. Mr. Cummings just ran in recent time where in District 8, people got drowned. These people money have been siphoned and have been distributed by Samuel TWEH and elects. And the only thing they can do for us is to continue to sanction more officials and those who are doing business with those individuals to be sanctioned so that it send a clarion call to the world and Liberians that indeed this government is nothing good. It's a bad dream. It's a terrible mistake. And Liberians should gather to make the rightful decision come 2023.
Man, this guy he's loaded this evening. My goodness. Well, I'm not going to stay out trouble. I'm not going to be the one to facilitate. People are already here to go after it. Dr. Toto, political commentator, analyst of the Liberal Public Radio. Good evening. Welcome, Sisit. Welcome. Amos George, welcome. Man, Papa, look like, boy, you brought a little oil from Bon County. I have fish shining there evening as well.
No, that depends on honor.
Who get to eat a primo? Okay. Let's do them pieces by pieces instead of them putting all in the too much a deplorable story. But let's go ahead. Let's see here step by step here. The actions, what we're seeing coming from the U.S. Embassy, what is being exhibited out there by Nathaniel Magee, the sanctioned former minister, and after running to Bapolo, Bon County, well, everybody bush. Everybody, child, somewhere people can welcome a child somewhere. In this case, Mangibi is the one that is hosting him politically. He accepted the endorsement. I saw him in a yellow machine. You're going to be doing that. I don't know where those resources coming from. Someone who is out of power to still be doing that. I mean, I wish he gave me the opportunity for us to have this sort of conversation here. But gentlemen, let's have a conversation here. Let me bring in Sissy here. Where you were saying the other day, we were talking here, he's not going anywhere. But I saw him in a yellow machine. That yellow machine is going to be his, it's going to be a bulldozing point. I heard people are saying, we need roll. Roll is what we want. And Nathaniel Magee, is the guy called talk and do, they can do it. So who is he harming here politically? So let's have an honest conversation here. He wearing a cap that carries GMW, George Manawia, who was a sitting president, potentially going to be seeking to re-election. And that was his close confidant being sanctioned. Yeah, we're saying Uncle Sam is coming out. The wrath is already hanging, potentially more to come. Who is this guy harming? Even though he has not come out, he's been doing the strategically. He's not saying he's going to go for CDC. He's not saying he's going to be an independent, but he's contesting. So far, we know. But his action here, is it being patriot?
Well, I don't know about patriotism because there's a lot of things he's doing that is at the behest and acquiesced of the head of state. So to look at it in the light of patriotism would require me to say something that I don't want to say of the presidency. Having said that, though, I do stand by my word that McGill is not going anywhere. That picture with him in the yellow machine with the hat, with the hard hat, is going to come to hunt him. I keep saying that the porcupine has been domesticated. It is no longer in the wild. The sanction of the United States government has turned Porcupine Brigade. They are zoo animals now. If you watch that video that's been trending about his math of entering the University of Liberia in 2005 BC and graduating in 2001 AD, because I want to believe that the honorable minister understood math. So I think we are just the one misunderstanding the year he was talking about. He entered the UL 2005 BC and he graduated 2001 AD. That would be correct. But having said that, though, do you see how disheveled he looked with his shirt open like a drunkard? I am telling you, look, he's in the last throw. He's trying to put up, some air to just carry enough people with him down the drain. There will be some serious actions that will be taken by George Weah before he comes to the United States in December. Mark my word. Just like we said,
serious actions. Let's not leave it into ambiguity here. Let's not be. When you say serious actions,
he is going to sever ties with Miguel, because Miguel is putting him in a place where, in a situation that he can't handle. Because for Miguel to be thumping his nose at the U.S. government, and that requires that the ambassador will come back to re-emphasize what he said at his press conference regarding the Magnitsky Act. He had to come back to re-emphasize that banks that do substantial transfer with Miguel, and people who do business with Miguel and the other indictees, including Biden Sherman and Prince Johnson, will face the weight of sanction themselves. So this is not a joke. The U.S. government has been following this guy. They know where the money transaction is coming from. They know because Miguel doesn't have all the money on his pillow. So there has to be a place the money is coming from for him to do all of these transfers that he's traveling around. And that was the reason, in my belief, that the ambassador came out talking about banks that do substantial transfer and transaction with Miguel and other sanctioned government officials will face the weight of the Magnitsky Act. And so I still stand by my word that Nathaniel Miguel is not going to go anywhere. And if he keep pushing the hands of George Weah, he is going to force George Weah into getting him prosecuted and sent to jail. Guarantee you that, because George Weah wants to run for election again. And he knows this is going to be his Achilles heel when it comes to the United States. And that buffoonery, that noise people passing around where they will go and demonstrate and get McCarthy sent back to the United States. Come on, man. We really paying attention to that thing? You know, let them march from Bapolu and come to Monrovia and go and protest and see what that does. I think at the end of the day, Miguel still has a little bit of money under his pillow. He still got a few people still answering his call. He got a lot of people not answering his call, though, because you could tell from his feature today that is not how Nathaniel Miguel looked. When people used to go to his yard and would sleep around his fence, they're just hoping for a chance to touch his SUV so they get a little bit of government money. Now he's talking about entering the University of Liberia in BC and graduating in AD. I still stand by my word. That dude is not going anywhere. He's just making noise. He just want to remain relevant, but at the detriment of the CDC and George Weah.
Okay, this dude is not going anywhere making the noise. Let me bring in Dr. George Toto here, our political analyst based in Pittsburgh here. Let me bring you in. You've been involved, both politics here, locally, and nationally. You're a big guy. You left former here, and you are actually, look, if he's not going anywhere, who is he trying to poke here? What sort of strength is he trying? Is he trying to measure something with somebody to make him still relevant? Yes, even though I am not a minister again, but here who I am, I still enjoy the support of the people. Or is this a complete mere distraction here?
Yeah, also, first let me just greeting to you guys in studios and our listeners out there today. Then I got snow day in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really? You got snow today?
Yeah.
If you didn't count this out to all, let it stay right.
When we're talking about snow, Pittsburgh people, I think I could use a snow by us. Stop using that word. You're using that thing.
But that get to business. Also, the point part Nathaniel Miguel. You know, Miguel is a political machine. That's what I can say. This guy reminds me during the Samuel Doe era, when some of our younger saw Samuel Doe say that we should pay America debt.
Right.
You saw the whole country, mobilizing. We carry our $2. They tell you carry $2. We have to pay America debt. Why? Because of our money today. Why? Because the relationship between Samuel Doe and the American government. You know, we saw the side early of the Doe regime. And that's the same trend Miguel trying to take with the government. And President Weah don't want to install and engage Miguel. Maybe for some reason that it may be hard to get up politically. And I just put Miguel, his body Simon TWEH on the other side too. You see all the yo-yo, all the noise that go on in Nigeria when it comes to LIGIS and all that stuff. But for Miguel, you know, Miguel had reached to a point to say, you know what, I don't care would go out, would want to do anything happy, that's it. You know, they have a say that he that is down fear no force.
Right.
And that's the point that Maggie have put say in render. I be essential, I bet this that fear nobody, anybody that come my way will go down the drain. And that's what's going to happen to the government here. This Maggie don't want to go along. And we all know that as long as Maggie still run the affair of that government, everybody knows. It means a de facto Prime Minister of Liberia, the office is run. You can see the impact of it. If not, he will not be going around where he can't achieve the way you only jumping around from place to place. You want to be engaged in political activity. Who does that? Especially the greatest country in the world. You know, look what happened in Russia. Look at the Russian government, the American government went after them. The possession on them. Look at how they changed. Even the owner of Chelsea. See how the British government went after him. You know, so who is Bangui to want to stand against the forces of the U.S. government of sanction? They are just putting a strong warning out, and I believe that I like that ambassador in Liberia. He will.
The guy, he's almost like a William Swain. You remember William Swain, the same guy with Samuel Doe. He's been in the foreign service for quite a while.
He will play basketball with them. He will laugh with them. At the same time, he will deal with them, and that's what happened. So let them just sit and relax in that comfortable zone. That man get me jumping up and down like that. Since we're talking, look at Mangi facial expression. They speak follow. Look at Mangi. Look at him. So let him be jumping around from place to place. When they start back up, that they fair to be on President We are. Because President We are to take them for a joke. Then he come here December and leave and go back and see how things going to be for him for his president or his presidency. And I feel that President We are heading the bad direction. If he doesn't sit and call the two guys to book Mangi and Samuel TWEH as an individual, he just resign for that government and just leave. That's all he need to do because this guy have no good credibility.
Is that an opposition tone to your taking, Dr. Tutu?
Come again?
Is that an opposition soundbite that you're taking?
No, I'm not speaking opposition to. I'm speaking as a nationalist Liberian. I'm not speaking opposition to because what is happening in Liberia has nothing to do with politics. The interest of the country. That's what happened.
Okay. Let me bring in the man from Atlanta, Georgia. I think he's about to unleash. Amos George, let me ask you this question here. And it might sound ridiculous or insane. The actions of the suspended sanctioned minister, is it in isolation with the establishment or the CDC or the president? I have not heard any statement, probably if it is out there, any of you guys can bring it. I've not heard any statement of even CDC because he was the front line of the president's campaign when this whole sanction thing came about. I usually hear, like we see here in the Western world, when these sort of big guys, when they are in trouble, either the party or the Senate people, they're going to distance themselves, considering the happening. That has not happened publicly. We have never heard a position statement of condemnation or say, hey, even though you are one of us, but here I'm moving forward, considering all of this here, we have no ties with you. That has not come from CDC. He said his vote is not voting as a senator, it's not him, but it's the election of President George Weah. So can we say whatever he's doing, the president doesn't know about it?
No, Cecil, Janetta, Dr. Tutu, how you doing? Look, list or so, I told you for the last time. This thing has a fingerprint of George Weah all over it. This guy mentality is that we'll just leave you after a few weeks, this thing will die down and business as usual in Liberia. But I said it the last time. George Weah is playing with fire. And the brilliant thing about him, he's not a student on history, so he doesn't care. Because if he was a student on history, then I think he would have taken the necessary step to distance himself from Lieutenant Mangi and others. But since he's not a student of history, so I will not blame him for that. Because some all know what happened in Liberia before and around the world with America. This thing has a fingerprint of George Weah. The man said it the other day, he might give it. Now he will make sure George Weah is elected. Those are the words the other day, he might give it.
Where is this defiance? Where is it coming from? Who has been
George
motivating
Weah,
it?
because they're telling him, I mean, just do that thing with us. We hand over, man, we just do that thing. We're not doing anything. The people forget about that thing there. This is what George Weah then playing with. So the issue is, in fact, look at that recent press release. The ambassador mentioned using government facilities. Using government facilities. If this man was suspended and resigned from the government, why should he benefit from any government facility? So you can see. They go in and sit down and say, hey, my man, don't mind our man, and I myself, what do we do to us? This is what they play with. So, and the figure, they cannot detach themselves from the entire Mange because that is what they bring behind the CDC. So these guys are just there playing on they play on the intelligence of the Americans and the international community, but this is a very dangerous path for them. So, in other words, you see these people are corrupt. And so they will not let one of their party go down. Rather, they want all of them to go. And this is the trend they're taking in Liberia. So the issue of Nathaniel Mange, look, let me tell you something. Nathaniel Mange will not be brave to do this thing if he did not have the backing of George Weah and order within the CDC. He won't. Why would the guy say be?
Okay, let me hold you there. Sissy, Mr. George is very definitive here. The actions of former Minister Mange has the support of front article print, according to him in his word, of the president. Is that a fair assertion, fair argument?
Well, I won't go that far because I would think that McGill is pissed that his crew that they all came to power together now is abandoning him. So he's on a scorched earth kind of path, like a Donald Trump kind of thing right now. I'm going to burn down the whole house. So I want to believe that that's what McGill is on. Because look, I trust me. If McGill still enjoyed the confidence and the trust of the president and Samuel TWEH, look at how McGill looked. He won't be looking that way. He'll be relaxed. He won't look like he reminded me of my uncle in the village when we used to go for vacation between and not drink the pan one and some kind of thing. Then they open a shirt, they wear t-shirt on the air and they talking, thing that can't stay in one line about going to LU in 2005, graduating in 2001. Then everybody say, hey, they be ready, you can't find on the palm one tree. That's how McGill look. He looked like he had just come from on the palm one tree. So for me, I really do want to believe that the CDC has shut him out, but they have not come out officially to distance themselves.
So then why? Why are they not coming out to distance?
Well, because the CDC, like most political clubs in Liberia, are not political entities. They're not serious political entities. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to take the rubric of Georgian serious political entities and apply that to political clubs. Right? The CDC is not a political entity, it's a political club. And so you don't expect them to do what people expect of serious political entities. And there's so many examples of that. We talked about that before. So, for example, when Jefferson Koji came out and said when people get in the street, they will march them blood for blood. The CDC never distanced itself from that. When Solomon George, a lawmaker, said he should make him chief of police, and he threatened violence and against opposition figures, the president even backed him up. The CDC, as a party, has not had a speech on that. The only time we've heard anything significant from the CDC was when my brother from Lofa Country got drunk, the former pastor from the refugee camp got drunk and talk about, all the other people there that, the basis for which the civil service agency provides jobs to civil servants in Liberia under the PAPD pro agenda is for people to be beautiful and give out other things. That's the only time we've heard anything substantive coming from the CDC. So let's stop trying to expect something critical from a play toy organization.
But
Dr. Toto, let me bring you in here. I don't take risk with politics. Will there come a time, at some point in time in the middle of this whole thing here, that the CDC or the party will take a position, considering what we see happening or hearing from the ambassador? That the strongly feels people and big names, potentially financial institutions and high board guys still doing business. There must be someone, there must be a motivator. I don't think he can just get out there to do it by himself, or should he be stopped now before it gets too late?
Yeah, of course, if you look out for the past issue that have taken place in Liberia, our president of CDC, nobody don't come out to speak on issue, especially some critical issue that been like affect the nation. Our president don't come out to address the issue, except maybe the international community come out and say one or two things. That's when the president can be compared to come out to address the nation, and I get face to face, but you do telecast, a video recording uh, to address the nation. So hopefully, since the U.S. government again the ambassador come up to blow a little bit of alarm that people should start doing businesses with those guys, and maybe perhaps the government or our president or CDC will come up with issues with that statement because that's the only time they are compared to come out, to do this thing. But other than that, things that happen in the country, the president don't come out to address the issue. We saw critical things that took place in the country, even the auditors, the other things that happened with the CDC government, the demonstration that went on, the video boys and things there. The international community had to speak for it, for the president will come out to even talk about it. So we know him for that. So we are not expecting anything big to come out of it. What the Liberians need to address the issue, to speak about it, like what we're doing right now in such a forum. We're talking about it. Other colleagues are talking about it on their own other platform, on the network. I think that's how we can do to preach a message to our people. And then when it comes to political party, political institution, apart from the individual, you never get good public statement for these people. So the whole incident happened. How many political institution or party that come to address the issue? We are not seeing everybody are quiet on it. People are focused on it. ANC or CPP now should be to them, they are the most forceful political institution like Liberia right now. These things are supposed to be, yeah, yeah.
You leaving you leaving yourself out of the picture. Why?
So, they claim to be that.
So do you validate their political arguments that they are
They
the
claim
one?
to be that. So they're supposed to they are big in numbers. That's what they claim. So they're supposed to take on that point to engage the government on some of the issues to them. But for them, they are still sleeping also too. We are not seeing anything substantial for them.
So before I go to give them the fair share, are you guys saying anything? And I will bring Sissy in this picture before I get to Jonathan and something. You brought ANC into this whole thing here. You also have a political pick. You are not talking about it, but you come on trying to dash it on the ANC. Why ANC?
So we're going to be addressing the issue. You've been talking about it.
Oh, well, ANC is not being talking about it.
AMC and the CPP clearly the most forceful political institution like Israel.
Okay. Sese, do you have I'm sure you get a support of your patron. Frenchman said that's your guy. Is he on point?
Well, to the extent that TWEH Gonglo has been speaking about issues of impunity in Liberia and putting that as the foundation of his campaign, yes. Now, as far as Cummings and the CPP go, I have to be fair here that just in fact, most recently in district number 4 and 6, when Cummings spoke recently in Monrovia, he speak on that issue of rampant corruption and impunity in Liberia. So I do have to give credit to Cummings to that. But this has been the backyard of TWEH Gonglo, if we want to be fair. But I have heard Cummings talk about it as recent as just this week. On the other hand, though, I think one of the things people are forgetting here is that when they talk about this sanction, are people in the CDC government really thinking that the sanction, they're being sanctioned by the ambassador? Because if you get an ambassador of Liberia, are you really thinking the ambassador only read a statement that was given to him? And let me point one thing out here. The ambassador made the recent statement where he emphasized this issue about McGill and Bill Torrey when he was in the presence of the acting assistant secretary on global public affairs. So he was speaking before. He said, before I let her speak, let me handle some housekeeping issues. So he was talking about issues that had come from the State Department, the Treasury. So he was handling some housekeeping issues before handing over the platform to the acting assistant secretary. And so I don't know what seditionists are, how seditionists understand how this thing works. That they think that removing the ambassador, who is just the conduit through whom the message was sent, that somehow that changes the outlook. This is sad that people don't understand how this thing works.
Yeah, you brought that point, but let me bring in my guys. George, Amos George is going nuts right now with this whole thing here being dumb slam on ANC. Jonathan, as usual, he's the diplomatic guy here, but Amos George doesn't hold back. Amos George.
Dr. Toto, I don't know. Probably you live in a different world. Seriously. Because your elders now coming this weekend was in church places speaking to people on corruption, impunity, how people have been deprived of basic necessity because of corruption in our society. And you come to sit down here, Dr. Toto, to say the ANC, because they say they are the biggest organization. It doesn't matter, big or small. Everybody's supposed to speak to issues that are confronting the nation. And I'm just shocked at you. Probably, you know, your screen doesn't catch anything about ANC. So that's you're taking ANC to be what we talking now. That everything you do is the ANC not doing this. But what you doing? Yeah, I get Gongo credit. He has been speaking on justice. I don't come here and say, oh, Councillor Gongo has not been speaking on issues of concern. But this is your second time. The other day, you did it again. To come after the ANC, and you think we will sit down and let that pass by you? No way, Dr. Toto. So I will ask you to please start monitoring the station in Liberia and see what Mr. Comey is doing. Mr. Comey went to Nima the other day, a village where 8 persons, I think in the Edmond Bureau got drowned. He went there, speak on this issue. And then you come here to say, oh, the ANC, they are the biggest party. Well, if you think you are a small party, then you are a small party. But if we say we are big, then we are big, and we're attacking the issue. So if your party, your chairman, doesn't want to attack the issue, then don't go after ANC on that one.
Okay. Jonathan.
The ANC need to unblock Dr. Toto. That's why he's not seeing your messages. Jonathan,
okay.
This is not starting our trouble. This is
Is
that coming at black Dr. Toto?
He on Lone Star. He on Lone Star.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think ANC has been seen or been viewed as a major or big political actor now in this race. Is that the case? Because the language ANC seems to be that the opponents also within the opposition tries to neutralize ANC. That's my word. I'm not saying that what they are saying. But its comments has it been forceful? I think the guy he don't usually agree with you, but Sise gave that to ANC.
Yes, I think Sise mentioned it, which is quite well. The problem about our country, it is not about whether you are a small political party or you are a big political party. I can recall 2012, 2013, when we're in our formative stage, when the young people came about with Ellen Step Down campaign, and they said the Arab Spring kind of stepped down. The AMC were very loud and spoke about it, that you can protest, you can petition the government, but we cannot demonstrate it in an Arab Spring way that will turn our country into chaos. When they build on making budgetary allocation to political party retroactive and were proffered by Councillor Sherman and the ruling party then, that will be paying the parties money from the budget, the ANC condemned it, and that bill is still in the dustbin as we speak, because it was not in the interest of all of the political parties. We were not big at that time. Mr. Dr. Gabriel McIntosh in the most recent condemned the censor just on the eve of the censor, and he made it quite loud that to do such a statistics, all of the postulates that should go along with it, were not met, and he also condemned it. But what is quite interesting is that whenever the government failed to seize on the movement to govern properly, or because of their level of ineptitude, their lack of leadership, and what have you, people tend to create an impression that there's an open vacuum that cannot be, and that void cannot be filled. And we accept it from the ANC and the CPP, because in the great United States of America, the new rappers, when they come to the stage, their first place to combat is the old rappers. And so they look for rift between the old rappers, and so that they can make the news. And so we accept it in good faith without discounting anybody in the process. Councillor Gonglo have been speaking in a private capacity prior to being in the political sphere. We gave it to him, and we respect it. What is important here is that, and I disagree with my brother Cisse, at one angle, is that the actions and inaction of the CDC-led government is approbated by the President of the Republic of Liberia, to the extent to which he listed Solomon George representative's statement in the presence of the President will welcome the nation. The CDC COP today, we still waiting to see the judicial process of their case, yet they are campaigning vehemently across the Magiri for McGill. Koji threat on the lives of protesters, the ex-general threat on the life, the rights issue that the president referred to as street thought. Today, our people are still languishing and looking for rice. Rice is currently sold in Monrovia, most part of Monrovia, $4,500, which is almost $30 when it was $16 before. So almost 3 times the price. The auditor's death, the president's first utterance was that he learned that the people were involved in the girlfriend and boyfriend business. I mean, responsible and credible people who went to do function of government, and it led to additional 4% adding up, 2% adding up to the 2% that died in a car, as claimed by the government. The EPS officer who got killed in the presence of the president in Nimba County, the landslide in the gold mine in Nimba County. The president said nothing about it. It was an urgency. Mr. Cummings rapidly went there. The shutting down of a current hospital in Zaza, 2018. It was Mr. Cummings who made the first stop there and provided a little token of $5,000 to keep that hospital up. So the fact of the matter, on the pieces of evidence, is that President Weah has also a responsibility, and there are people who have mustered the courage and have demonstrated since 2018, 2016 that they can lead the way. And one of those persons is Mr. Alex Cummings, and he will never stop. The energy in him, the human capital, the financial well-weighted from the wettest might that we can gather. We will deploy everything. That election is going to be compelled compliance. We're going to have pool watcher to every news corners. President Weah will be elected. Up come what may come at what, and that is the zero-sum gain for us.
President Weah will be elected, but I think
be elected out.
I think my brother, though, you said you disagree with me. Let me just ask a question, because I don't know where you disagree with me, because what I said is that the CDC has not spoken, because the question that Mr. So asked was, has the party distanced itself from McGill? And I said the party has never spoken on critical issues. The party has never distanced itself. And I mentioned the Solomon George issue and said the party failed to distance itself. I talked about Koji and blood will be in the streets, and I said the party failed to distance itself. So I said the party has never distanced itself. So why you disagree with me and still listen to the same thing that I stated?
Is that a slip of tongue, Janitor?
So probably I didn't get you well, because I understood you to have said that the party, it is not an institution.
But,
so I thought it was the premise on which they were not distancing themselves.
I said they have never distanced themselves because they're not a serious institution.
Right,
I agree with you.
Let's take a quick break when we come back. Dr. Toto, you want to say something?
I just want to show light on the comment I made about the CPP or the ANC being the more forceful. That's the forceful political party. What I'm trying to say that I'm not saying the manifesto be the brand important talking like we want to engage no zero ill that I mean list there. That's why I'm trying to talk about they talking about the other issue, but we talk about critical issue that affecting the country right now when it comes to what we're experiencing right it comes to the essential issue by getting job run from place to place and things there. We're not seeing how political institutions are being engaged with it. That's the
We have
point I'm
spoken
trying to
about
make.
all, Mr. Dr. Tutu.
All right, guys, we'll be back. Let's take a quick break and you can get a glass of water and we'll be right back.
In collaboration with Sky Radio and TV, presents The Liberian World Today, a 60-minute program that connects the Liberian diaspora to the Liberian nation. The Liberian World Today begins airing every Sunday at 12 midday Eastern Time and 4 p.m. GMT. The Liberian World Today brings journalism to a practical level in challenging authors, policymakers, educators, researchers, academics, politicians, and ordinary people to discuss Liberia. Join our host, Afonso Zienzo, every Sunday at 12 midday Eastern Time and 4 p.m. GMT. It promises to be superb, fascinating, exciting, and engaging. That's the Liberian World Today on LPR and Sky Radio and TV this Sunday at 12 midday Eastern Time and 4 p.m. GMT.
From the West African nation of Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia Public Radio and Television present Business Diary. This program focuses on the activities of business institutions and individuals in society.
I'm Jeremiah Zhao Senior, CEO of All Nation Bank. It's been very good to have this business established here. We are 1 year since we opened here in Anono. There have been few challenges here that have faced in this country, and that is all about the language. But here instead, I refuse to be deterred. I refuse to be discouraged. I open a business and things have been fine.
My name is Mercy Bangarilanga. I am a finance officer working for an international organization. I have a master's degree.
Okay, we want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here. I'm Afonso Zian. So let me go back to my guys here for us to have more conversation here about our country. They are here. Jonathan Dolake is a senior analyst of the Liberia Public Radio. He's based in California. Sissy Goyot, senior contributor based in Minneapolis, Charlotte, and also support the candidacy of TWEH Gonglo. Dr. George Toto is based in Pittsburgh, also under the wing of TWEH Gonglo. And Amos George and that of Jonathan, they are the ABC guy, A, B, C, D. Maybe they're going to add it. Okay, gentlemen, let's pivot the conversation here. In the last 2 days from the sister network, it has escalated to a different level. We saw some, information more or less coming out. We do not have them, so we cannot authenticate to verify the authenticity of that. But the suspended and sacked Deputy LIGIS director has been very forceful. He's not holding back. The president, meanwhile, is out of the country, 52 days. But there was a letter of dismissal of LIGIS deputy director. What we see unfolding and happening right now with Minister Samuel TWEH coming out of the former LIGIS deputy. Will Samuel TWEH survive this? What is the president thinking about now? Saying all that is unfolding because he's coming, this guy is coming with tons. It reminds me about the slam done by Julian Hassan. Do you remember during the last elections at that sort of crucial? That's what is like putting the ruling establishment in a disarray now. Benevolent dictator is one of the chief architects of the sitting president. With all of these things coming out, I'm quite sure we talked to a lot of folks here. There's some nervousness in the making. This could potentially justify more sanctions of these corruptions, the behaviors, this illegal wiring, transfer, money moving from one point to another, we just are up to the ambassador point to say, oh, this is what's going on. And since they injected something crucial here, I don't know what people are thinking. If they think that the ambassador speaking, that's not only even U.S. speaking, the European Union. When Maguire left, it was a European Union type commissions where the ambassador placed that call to Archibald Bernat and right to say, hey, this is what needs to be done now. So when Uncle Sam speaks, EU speaking, major donor partners speaking. So it's not McCarthy alone there. So I hope that fight they're taking on is a good fight here. But seeing what is happening now, gentlemen, let's have a conversation. Can Samuel TWEH survive this wrath coming from Ellis Williams from LIGIS, formerly of LIGIS?
So then Samuel TWEH as chair of the board just a few days ago said he didn't have enough information to fire anybody at LIGIS. So less than 3 days later, they fired the very people that he had been asked to fire that he didn't have the proof from. So did they now just get the proof in 3 days that now led the president to fire people who the chairman of the board did not have the information to fire 3 days ago? That is a very speedy turnaround for the government. I must give the government an applause if they did that investigation in 3 days. Now I just need them also to use the same 3 days to do an investigation to find out that replacing one thief with another is not an improvement. Lawrence George has been indicted by LACC. So removing one thief and putting another one there that's been indicted by the LACC is not an improvement, Mr. President. It's not an improvement to the board director, Mr. TWEH. That is just, we're continuing the same thing. And so people got to take things very seriously. I do applaud the president, however, for firing those that he had to fire. But the president still has not spoken to the nation on this critical issue. We had to read in the speech of the ambassador that the sanction is ongoing. I understand that as diplomatic speech because the ambassador is not going to come out and say, you know, these people foolish and blah, 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 blah. There was only one sentence committed to that. The sanction is ongoing, and opposition political parties should not encourage their followers to kind of damage the process, so to speak. Because he was talking in the interest of peace in the country, because Yeke Koluba representative and other people have been saying that their people were not going to participate in the census. And I think the ambassador was taking that as saying this might create some chaos. And so the president has not spoken about this census and this electionary issue. We've had foreign partners have spoken about it. We got opposition political parties are speaking about it. Yet the president, the father of the nation, would take some action by writing people, firing them, but will not speak to the nation. This is a dereliction of responsibility, Mr. President. We still know you can do it. You need to take the time and speak to the nation. This LIGIS issue, as far as the data aspect of it, the procurement aspect of it, the implementation, and the importance of it has to come from the presidency. And so just firing people, you know, and letting it be does not solve the problem, especially so when you're replacing one person with Lawrence George, who's also on the list from LACC as having been found to be corrupt and misappropriating public resources.
Okay. I am wondering, and I've been talking to different interest group, both within the establishment and other people now, and most of the political pundits and other folks now, they are like scratching their head. What is going on here? Is this president actually seeking, or he wants to be re-elected? Seeing all that is unfolding, how can he perfectly make the argument? Is he really want to be re-elected? Why is it going the way it's going like this? This is unprecedented. But we'll wait and see. Dr. Toto,
Yeah,
can Samuel to it? Because the argument now with the ruling, I talked to one of the ruling establishment, like, oh, this is almost like what they are trying to do now, and that's why you see people are trying to protest. They want to do it like Samuel Doe. You see how Patrick Minicon, Grady, Allison, those people, those are the people that were neutralized around Samuel Doe, and that's how come the NPFL, or that's how Samuel. Those are the sound bites, those are the talk now they are injecting into the Mr. President. You see, the government of Nathaniel Magay, the government of what it is, Bakugba Junior, Serena Seaforth, they come into Samuel Tue. After Samuel Tue, they will come to Jefferson Koji. After Jefferson Koji, Fina Bono, and stuff like that. And so all of these things kind of kind of like tweet and replay people mind. But can Samuel Tue survive it? Because too much of stuff coming out. I'm not sure whether that's the end of it.
yeah. First of all, let's look at the president from past or historical things that have taken place in Liberia under his regime. The president don't have no that's the point that you are taking a strong decision or action or any of the cabinet ministers that may misbehave in the past. So everything, like Sister was saying, that address the issue. So probably Bangi or that Bangi Simon will get a pass, and then president will not do anything. At the end of the day, it will just be like that because it was his Simon Twain that some time ago said that he was a benevolent dictator. They went why he here, so he's not going to address the issue. So the issue alleged and whatsoever. Nothing could come from other that's why the international community talk about it. Cyber 12 is educated by very sad or democratic society whatsoever. Cyber 12 will probably take the residential and resign. But he will not go. They take advantage of the population of Liberia because we always have that same say, we have I hate to use the word, but it's even for expression to my Liberian people. We hope that we're going to say our people are ignorant. Our people don't make good decisions when it comes to voting because of their past pattern of voting history. So they got to take advantage of it. You see, President, we asked coming up, but they launch their campaign in December. The 1 million men launch on that be coming in December. They are preparing for it. Way to place the place in, making people to feel that they are best for the country with all the type of baggage that they carry along with them. So they are taking advantage of the people that we have because at the end of the day, probably our people not based on good decision, to vote who they want to vote for to carry president we are again. But Simon Tua going anywhere, and the issue are Ligi have been very corrupt. The problem again with some of the guy, the gentleman that was fired, the deputy director that came up and bringing all the mountains or problem thing there. The only time you hear about this guy also too, when they have a problem, when they get fired, that's the time to bring all which is good for all the year. But my point is, if you sit there all the years, don't think they
Exactly.
don't think they come out. Why can you couldn't resign a long time ago or come in the public to be like a whistleblower to blow it out and let the Liberian people know, but all there was attention, you get fired, then the time you bring all the things that blowing so many whistles there, blowing the different the FIFA whistle, the car whistle, everything blowing different whistles. That's what the problem I get about. And then other than that, I want to commend him for coming up, to be strong, to to be more forceful to come out to tell the Liberian people about what went on later. But equally also they should be here responsible for all the mess being created in the various institution, like the later also other government institution.
Okay, Jennifer? Now you're on you.
It is unfortunate. It is really, really, really unfortunate. I know I was just trying to catalog some of the misgivings in the government and the lack of will on the part of this government and the leadership, the president in particular. And I will always emphasize that he's an accomplice to all of the wanton stealings and looting of the resources of our country, as well as the contributions given by our international partners in order to save a mother who will be crossing a river where there is no bridge, pregnant to get delivered in a safe hospital, though there is none there, and will have to do same on the highway. This is appalling to young children who are in Butwo, who are in Pako, in Grekema County, who are in Blow in, I think, Granjire County, who are elsewhere and trying to find survival. And that is why I'm using this medium, like Ellis Williams did, to call on the U.S. government, which is our strong partner and ally, to sanction McGill. This is not from political party, and I'm McGill, but the sanction Samuel TWEH and the likes of them who are in government and those who are doing business with those who have already been sanctioned. Because very soon, if you sanction Samuel TWEH, you'll be running for some representative seat again. So the more the sanction, the better our people's eyes will open. But let me point out a few things that are happening in the past. Our dear brother, who sometimes come on platform, Mr. Alex Coffey, who is a distinguished personality, complained sometime in 2018 about resistance from government agency and authority to provide requisite documentation to the FIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit, on instrument that will lead to investigation and counter-checking about anti-money laundering and what have you. The government took no action. He complained. I think out of frustration, he left that entity. You can follow up with that of the Labrador Water and Sewer Corporation controller. He had been on public radio. He was even on the platform the last time when he called, and on ERBC, and the minister tried to, warding his thought. Otherwise, that brother had gone for almost 17 months as a whistleblower. GAC had never investigated him. We're talking about $99,000 US plus. We're talking about almost 59,000 gasoline and diesel that were missing, and they have protected those who stole those money. That brother cannot apply for any job. He qualified competent. There have been no clearance for him. He has not been investigated. They claim that they are investigating him, but how can he investigate somebody who is a whistleblower who all not been present to provide his claims to the facts? Instead, Samuel TWEH again, who is also playing a statutory role under the Labrador Water and Sewer Corporation, said that GAC received information that GAC investigated the brother, and what the brother claimed was missing was never missing. So it just demonstrates the level of stealing that Samuel TWEH is carrying on. He did it with a 25 million mop up, gave money to his colleagues. There were no business registration. Their phone numbers could not reach. And then there were no areas that could be identified. The other report demonstrated it clearly. But again, President, we are who are also receiving kickbacks from all these things, sit there and maintain Minister Samuel TWEH. We are hopeful that the U.S. government is the only partner that we can depend on. Alex Williams said something, and I hope that Toto can copy from that. We hope to encourage everybody in government sector to come out and say these things. But there are times that you play professional roles, and there are times that you will get frustrated to come out. If the Labrador Water and Sewer Corporation men who are gone 17 months without no job, and he has been dismissed, what do you think people of other like minds will be thinking for saying the right thing? So we should put it in our context, looking at Liberia's situation, no job, no opening. The brother from Labrador Water and Sewer write communication for employment. The people say you are dismissed. And then he doesn't have no clearance. He's crying on the government, investigate me. You can't investigate this man. What is that? It just demonstrates the level of stealing in our country. And we can say it more louder than we are saying it.
All right. Amos Joyce. Amos Joyce, not Joy. Let's distribute here equally here. We saw Alice, and that's a valid point. Sissy raised. Unfortunately, we don't see that happening in third world country like Liberia here, and that's where sometimes I wonder: these people that represent us, are they there for us, or are they just there for themselves? Here, sometimes you see people go across party line for the good of the country, and you will see somebody within the party say they will come and condemn and say, you know what, because of X, Y. where Anthony Weiner and other people, Charlie Renko and all of major people, Al Franklin, in Sisi, you see some Democrats, other people, like-minded Democrats, they came out and said, you know what, this guy needs to go. You will never see ANC person telling ANC person to go. We saw what his name said, your party chairman. CDC the same way. United Party the same way. So with this sort of culture, or with this sort of minds of our major political actors, how sure are we that we will not come back here tomorrow, even when ANC takes the presidency for discussion purposes, or Tiawan Gongo, you Amos Joy, you Janitor, you Sese, and you Dr. Toto, well, you don't got come back here again to come tell us, you know what, and begin to put all of these political correctness tone into place again. When we see that happening, can no stand within the opposition against their own people or against some of their leaders as well? Is that happening?
Mr. So let me say something. I cannot speak for the entire membership of ANC or other parties, but you see on the platform here, we tend to hold our own, and this is what we need if we are about to change Liberia. Not because you and myself come from the same party, and you do something wrong, I come to cover you and defend you. No, because the moment we start, then we're not going to progress. So we have to learn to speak through the power. Those that will put in power, we have to hold them accountable. Mr. Comey had taken some decision. I had come on the platform. I said no. Cesar, he had questioned some decision of Tiawan Gongo. So that's what we need to be doing. But let me go back to this Ellis guy. Dr. Toto, maybe you are not following this guy. This guy resigned before, I think 2018 or 2019, from this position. The government offered him $25,000 to go to the Czech Republic to study. He went there, so he got 2 masters. Came to Ghana to do his PhD. While he was there, the government again, they made a decision. I think the government, they said, look, come to the guy to come. And the guy said, he told Samuel TWEH, hey, if I come, I don't want no interfering with anybody in this area. I want to be independent to do the job. And he said, Samuel TWEH, rest assure him that coming, you will fully be independent and you will do your job. So he said, in order to help his country, he came back. And when he came back last year, he had a press conference flagging the same issue about Lauren Jordan, flagging the same issue. He was suspended. The board went and investigated and said, no. Put the man back. They did not do anything. They reinstated him. Now, this guy said the work that they had done in that department, in that bureau. He said when they went to Ghana, Ghana told them, hey, you people are more sophisticated than us. You people come and show why you went about to do this thing in Liberia. He said even they taught the Ghanaians about this same census. So he said that he was doing it for country. Now, fast forward. What happened? The man said he wrote, I think in September, telling them, hey, I'm resigning from the post. I don't want the post no more. They said, no, hold on. The census coming, you can't do this. Now, hanging on, Samuel TWEH, the 3 other groups continue to do these things to him. When his father submitted his letter of resignation, Samuel TWEH called him, being the chairman of the board. Peace of time, he said to call him and say, hey, yeah, we see your letter, but if this go to the public, it'll be too damning for us. So don't do it to us. Hold it. And remember, this guy is a born sedition. Sedition. They were the first judge. He said, okay. But here's the interesting thing that happened. When after the talk, he said he had an interview with James Button.
Larry Youngquay.
No, James Button on VOA.
Oh, yeah, VOA.
Yeah, he told James Button, do not play that interview, hold it. He has sent a letter to Stanton of his resignation. He said, no, don't publish it, hold it. Because the people said, I should not do this. So I should go quietly. What Samuel TWEH did, They call the president. You see how they play this guy? They call the president and say, fire the man. That's how the president went to fire the guy. Then the guy said, but I submitted my letter already, resignation. And you put to me not to blow it out. I should go quietly. Then turn around and go to the president and say, you must fire me. That's how this guy now is getting angry. I would do the same thing. He's getting angry, but he's being played by Samuel TWEH.
Look, George, I don't have no, like I said, I don't have no problem with me. I'm just trying to give a scenario. No, for me, I would not risk myself to go work in a risk environment. Let me just give you a quick 1 second, right? I received an offer from the University of Liberia. One of the, I will not call name or whatsoever, but they reached out to me. They said they need help in their graduate program at the University of Liberia. They were talking. I said, okay, that's good. I said, what do I contribute? And I asked them for the compensation. I said, how much you got compensate? You know what they told me? They said, oh, so I was $700. I said, you expect me to leave America and consider like bro for $700 minute? You want me joking? So I just try to give you the have conduced how the environment looking already. I'm not going to risk myself to go sit down like Europe.
What that's the issue, but we have to put in the context that this man was doing. So we cannot just say that, oh, he only got angry because he was fired. No, the man resigned the job. But what's happened? They play him. After he resigned, they said, oh, don't go public.
I don't say, but I told you to give
what happened when you do a gorilla there, you don't sleep. You got to open your eyes.
Yeah. But why talking? This guy, they have not been in the trenches for a long time. They don't know how the team play in Liberia. So this is what it is. But here's the thing, Mr. So Samuel TWEH will not be fired. And let me get you to why.
Oh, you're not good.
Are you sure? You say you will not be fired?
You won't be fired. And let me tell you the reason. This thing is a syndicate in Liberia. Joel Howard, Marvin Cole, they all have interest in this thing. The guy who was the censor director in Banga, they died. And Joel Howard wanted somebody from her camp to go to take that position. Marvin Cole wanted someone from his camp to go and take that position. You see the sneaker there. Marvin Cole went and bought some, Marvin Cole bought some solar panel light in LIGIS yard today. And the person who was there, that from Marvin Cole camp. So you see this sneaker here. This sneaker is a big thing. So Samuel TWEH, the thing that you did not talk about, I think he's the chairman of the board for Water and Sewer. So I said, look at Samuel TWEH fingerprint. He's on the board for Water and Sewer, chairman, I think. Then listen, and you see the kind of corruption, the scandal that is going on there. And the president cannot speak on this issue. Samuel TWEH has projected George. We are looking at Samuel TWEH as a minister of finance, the finance minister ever in the history of Liberia. So he goes to him and says, look, I'm the guy. If you're moving from here, you're done. See the kind of what I'm doing. So this is the power we are faced with. For George Weah to look beyond even the report on his desk, he will say, forget it. Samuel TWEH goes. So Samuel TWEH will not leave this position, except what the American did. If they sanction him, then George Weah will slide and spoke. Just go, you'll be in the background.
Okay.
So Samuel TWEH will not go anywhere. This corruption is a stomach, and the CDC-led government, they have failed the Liberian people.
Okay. So, are we just developing migraine here, talking about this tour business? Nothing going to help? George already finished putting the hook on and say we're just wasting our time.
No. I think what Pa George is saying that if the fire is not put on the turtle back, the turtle will not move. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Because for some time, we all felt like the prime minister was untouchable. And we felt like the elephant, Bakugba Jr., was untouchable. And the Solicitor General, who was caught in communication with convicted felons, who arranged for a convicted felon to go meet with him in a hotel in a country that does not allow two adults to sleep in one hotel, like we're all stupid. Felt like they were untouchable. when they created the LRIF thing to collect government resources that the Fed were going to enrich themselves out of. They walked around like they were untouchable. You know, we used to have a thing in Lofa County to say, when marketing man a function can bring him down. Right. And at this point, the function that is coming from the American Treasury Department. So I really do believe that another shoe will drop from the Treasury Department before George Weah come to the United States in December. And that other shoe, when it dropped, the sedition will definitely demonstrate now at that point to go to Mamba Point.
Yeah.
Because the other rope here, when they haul it, it will roll straight through the spine of the CDC. And then the president will be forced, because now there is precedence, right? When Bill Torrey and Nathaniel McGill and Serena Cephas were sanctioned, he asked them to resign. And so when the next leg of the list drops, George Weah, will have another fire on his back as a turtle, and he will be forced to move. And so people keep thinking they are above the law in Liberia. Yes, they might be above the law in Liberia, but that is until and up to when the Treasury Department of the United States government shows up. Yeah, that monkey can female no more because function in town.
Yeah. Okay. So, Jonathan, before you make a point here, with what Cecil mentioned, did the president set a bad precedent? And we had this conversation here before. The American took their position. We don't know all of what were provided to GOL based on what the government bought. No matter what it is, as a sovereign nation, you must carry out your own internal investigations to tell your people because of what you have found out, even though the big guy told you, big brother told you, say because of what? Because what they were judging these guys for is because of their US dollar. Wherever you mess with Fed, the US dollar, you can be anywhere. They're going to go after you. Now, he didn't do anything. The ambassador now is not holding back. He's speaking in a very exhortatory, very tone that few people understands what he's talking about. People moving here and there, they know exactly what is happening. So, like Sis is saying, if more sanctions were to come in place, now sanction came, the president within here and an investigation would say he would say that there are going to be an investigation. We don't know how far, whether anything has been done, but there was no investigation until these guys were suspended. So what happens when 10, 4, 5, 6 names drop? That puts the president like a piece of cloth between the scissors, because you did it to John and Peter, you got to do it to the other people. Did he open He opened the wound up for himself.
I think the Treasury Department, he opened a wound for himself first thing. Secondly, I think the Treasury Department must go beyond to also build up the courage and muster the courage to sanction accomplices to this crime or to these crimes that have been committed, where mothers are going to bed hungry, families cannot afford, escalation of prices, and people are stealing taxpayer money. And among those accomplices will be the president himself. As we speak today, November 15, 2022, EU have had an allegation about grants of concession to foreign companies while disregarding the country's goal of sustainability of the Forestry Department for Environmental Protection. That is the FDA. And remember, Norway and other countries are giving subsidy and providing cash to our country in order to maintain our forest space. And also knowing that those logging companies go into those forests and they take all of the log without bringing anything back for the local communities, and they come uprising and upheaval, and people run straight, and it runs into chaos and what have you. So these Western nations have decided to subsidize and create envelope revenue envelope that will make our forest to be sustained so that at the appropriate time we'll make the appropriate concession, we can be able to explore those avenues to bring back to our economy. It can be recalled again lastly that Ramsar that is responsible for wetland in our country, in the global world, when the government took over, and that is the deception, that is why those individuals must be sanctioned. People that Eugene Nangbe was Minister of Transport. Ministry of Transport had responsibility over areas of land control. And he was part of the protocol on wetland. When they said that the Mesorado, there are a few wetlands that the Ramsar considered. They had a Mesorado wetland, they had a bathing areas in Nimba County, they had a Patawi in Bon County, they had a Lake Piso area in Great Cape County, and Eugene Nangbe advised the president that indeed the Indian people, they took money from the Indian people that they were going to build the Indian city in Bali Island without investigating about the environment, without doing any assessment, nothing whatsoever. Eugene Nangbe went into that, and I just have to tell Dr. Toto, I was in Liberia then, and Eugene Nangbe on ERBC, and I quoted the Ramsar protocol on ERBC, and this minister vehemently in 2018 went ahead, knowing that he's a signatory to all these protocols, when we signed it up to, and the people have provided money for us to not build in the waterways, this man will any, feasibility study whatsoever, decided that they will go ahead because we were taking money from the Indian people. And that is the kind of government. The only languages government can hear, like the chancellor government, is to sanction its official, to sanction the official that are doing business with other people, and even their accomplices.
Okay. Dr. Toto?
Yeah, that's it. Right this here, I agree with Janitor 100%. The only language that I go for the government is essential. And we hope that the Treasury Department will put more links up so that the government can get to work.
Well, what is happening here? Does it narrow the scope of the president's political quest for 2023, or are they not just thinking about that? I'm kind of a little bit concerned because someone who wants to maintain his job, you got to do everything. You don't want to be getting supervision or getting right off when you say you want your manager to maintain you. All these are unfortunate. Does he really want to attempt to get this job?
The president care for, so the president care. You think if the president was somebody careful that did his job, 2023 he appointed, I don't think in place.
Probably the president, maybe they are saying from the ruling establishment side, the opposition is not doing enough, so that could be their argument. I don't know.
The opposition are doing well. The opposition are doing extremely well. You can see the folks that are out there for the rural opposition. You see Unity Party out there. You see ANC or the CPP out there. You see T1 government, other political institutions out there. They are doing extremely well. And the government don't just care. They are reached to a point that they say, as I said earlier, they will play on the mind of the Liberian people. They say at the end of the day, they will vote for us. That's why they believe our people are weak-minded. Our people don't make good decisions at the bottom box, so that the message they carry their hair. But we don't care. President, we don't care at all. Whether they let it next year or President, we don't care.
Well, this is a tough one.
Let me just point out though, Mr. So, that it is not lost on me that we are here asking for a foreign government to kind of be the de facto justice system in our country.
Exactly.
This is sad that we are saying the only way we can get justice, the only way there can be a semblance of justice, we are asking a foreign government to help us. Has Liberia become this ungovernable? So for me, as a Liberian who stood in line so many times every morning when I was in grade school in Liberia to pledge allegiance to the flag of the Republic of Liberia as an independent republic, and we'll walk around on Flag Days and on Independence Day talking about how we were the first independent republic on the continent, the second independent black republic next to Haiti in the entire world. And we have been reduced today to asking a foreign government to in effect serve as a de facto justice system. This is a huge indictment on the CDC and George Weah and his group.
To try to add what is say, our Attorney General in Liberia, Musa D, says Musa D ever hold a press conference to address the issue of people that were being indicted by censure? Has he ever done that?
Has the media ever asked these questions as well?
You know, so those are the things.
No, I'm saying, has the media ever pushed for answers to these questions? The president said there was going to be an investigation. How long has this been? You got to go for the news. Are they asking those questions? Even though these people, they don't like to face the microphone, and this is why, and that was one of the reasons here I frown on it here, but again, we are in a society that is involved. All of these political actors, the government, the opposition, guess what? They all have their immediate outlet. So they go to those places to, get their message through. So there's no like a public outlet now. They want to talk to you, they will talk to you. They don't want to talk to you, hey, say, hell, you go away. I don't need to say anything. So nobody asking them. So they are walking scot-free. Yeah, Amos George.
Mr. So, if you are not available, how someone can ask you? When you saw Musa Dean, even holding, as you said, but the people don't make themselves available. They make everyone they can. You can says policemen pushing everybody around. Before the man get to the office, they can clear all the area. Nobody should stay in the area. The minister coming. How can the people approach this kind of person?
What we see in the different, I don't want to say different republic here. What we see, or what, based on what you are saying here, will we see it differently when any of these oppositions elected? Will we see this sort of, and I agree with you, because somehow when that to those people to get to them is like, man, whereas I can just place a phone call and talk to the schedulers of the city mayor or my senator or representative, the only thing they can tell you, okay, well, the representative is in Washington, D.C., but the schedule is there when he or she going to be coming to the state, and they're going to book the made an appointment. It doesn't matter. You don't have to get a loud voice. It doesn't matter your age, and they will pull you there. And that's one of the things. The folks, even you to get even their phone number, it's like you gotta go to, you gotta have somebody who go to that. But quickly before we go, another layer here. What would be the role of the election commissions? The Americans say these people are sanctioned, don't do business with them. And we know America is a major donor to all of this with their partners, the EU, and all of these other organizations. I'm waiting to see it in the certification with Nathaniel McGee, how with the National Election Commission, how this is going to be done. Because Uncle Sam going to be putting resources in there. They are telling us, do not do business with these people. So how will Delietta Brown and her commission are waiting to see how they're going to satisfy people like McGee.
And not just even McGee, they also Prince Johnson.
Yeah, all the sanctioned people. So how would that be? Sissy, let me use the letter Brown here this evening here to satisfy to vet all of the candidates here. And Uncle Sam coming with this sort of rough day hammer that is hanging over all of our head, directly or indirectly, as a country.
I think her job is easy, though. I don't think her job is complicated by the sanction. I think all the Brown and Senate has to do is to follow the Constitution. They have not been what's the thing? They have not faced the law in Liberia and been found guilty. Remember the issue of Brownie Samakai? That was because Brownie Samakai had been adjudged as guilty.
Right.
And so I think, and I don't think the U.S. government is going to be that naive to tell the outrightly the NEC that don't allow these people to run when they have not violated the laws in Liberia. Remember that.
Right.
They have not violated the laws in Liberia according to our Liberian jurisprudence system. But I think what is going to happen, that's why I keep saying watch until December. Because what's going to happen is the pressure from the back is going to force the justice system in Liberia to carry some of these people to court as a way of banning them from running. So the government will be forced, the total will get fire on the back, and it will be forced to indict some of these people, and they will be forced to go through the Liberian justice system as a way of banning them. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for George Weah and his government to make any headways into anything. I saw today people were boasting about a $2.5 million given to the government from the Saudis. Is that money really from the Saudis? When we're looking at the grand scheme of things on how much the Saudis give out, if $2.5 million is what we boast of, so you will see that the U.S. government will not say they're not giving you money, but they start giving you $300,000 where they were giving you $300 million before. And it starts to come with a lot more restrictions. So I think, watch out and see, like I keep saying, there's going to be some actions from the CDC government before George Weah comes to Washington, D.C., because George Weah wants to be able to be in closer proximity. Remember, this is an all-African nation affair. So he wants to be in closer proximity to the president. And I'm sure that it's going to be contingent on what actions is he taking. Remember, he had to take the actions before coming to the UN. He's going to have to take actions before coming.
You know what? Before you close, it reminds me about that's how what his name said. Was that Buhari? Who was this guy? The president, Taylor Town. The guy was here and he was supposed to meet the president. They said, "Okay, my man, you need to give order banner. If you want to come to White House, this is what you need to do right now." And that's how that whole deal of Taylor, hey, Oga, wanna get that man. Acting that he was going to Chad, crossing the border. Oga doing back the work here before because he gotta get a country. So I love that. That's it. Okay, well, gentlemen, let's do a quick round table here, final here before we go for the night here. Jonathan, your guy is coming. Preparation is being made. So is that every morning he comes to America? We're not hearing you. Unmute yourself.
The ANC black the man again, so he get talk.
We gotta rally the expertise of our diaspora Liberians for all walks of life in Europe, in America, and we gotta contribute the widow's mite to making him the president. You know, it takes resources to deploy pool watcher across the nation to monitor the process because CDC, if they can steal your money, I mean, talk less of mayor papers and information, they can steal anything. I mean, but importantly, you spoke about the issue of whether the media cannot ask these people. Samuel Tua was asked about the president's travel. He vehemently resisted giving the information. Eugene Nangwe was asked. He vehemently resisted the information. This morning, the deputy press secretary was asked. He could not give the clear information to the extent that Mo Ali have to say, but there was no reason for you going because he should have been stating the policy, those engagement of the president. But what is important
when he doing live? I never saw Patrick Kumek, the late Gaswa, your mentor, then doing all of those things. When the president traveled, they take their notepad to take note. But what time do you have to do live, and then you take the tolerate the activity of the president?
But to lay my thought, Mr. Dr. Toto again, on the biometrics, on the National Elections Commission, and Cece said it right. The ambassador on OKFM, he said that there's no judicial process against those who were sanctioned. The government of America is open to helping the government of Liberia in order to ascertain the facts through the judicial process. The president has not put in any committee up to today. On the National Elections Commission fund, the CPP had made it emphatically clear in a public document and press conference that the entity that was given the biometric process does not have the capacity that Chinese entity, and that the National Elections Commission should listen to the PPCC boss in order for action. Liberia never done biometric. It should not venture around doing such a biometric. They should give it to entities that have history of doing biometric because the voting process is quite cardinal. The CPP are going further to say that the history of the right situation cannot be a lip service. We should sustain a short-term plan, which is to making sure to subsidize the rice process, making sure that it can be accounted for. And the long-term plan is mechanized farming, which in the long run, we should invest in our soil and our good weather so that we'll be able to produce rice. The government has a responsibility to listen and take appropriate action. On the unfortunate end, the agriculture minister appeared in the chamber of the Senate, and she was asked as to whether she knows about the subsidy. She stood there and said she has no information about the subsidy. An individual who should be clothed with all of the financing process to subsidize rice. That demonstrates that this government must go for all these things. And our biggest disappointment will be on the shoulder of our Western partners, the U.S. government, to not sanction these people, to send a clear call to our citizens that is stealing the people, are putting our people through, creating gas shortages, where people that resigned from America here say they were ex-soldiers, stealing gasoline in plastic bag. These individuals should be sanctioned.
Okay, let's leave it there. I think I see you.
Oh man, leave General Drago alone and big.
Don't try to grab my ball, man. Don't try to grab my
I
ball.
see him being one of the chief negotiator or chief prosecutor when Cummings is elected president.
Don't try to grab my ball.
Okay, Dr. Toto, a final word.
Yeah, a very good discussion. You know, when it comes to those guys that session Liberia, I want to disagree that no guy did not commit any crime when it comes to Liberia law. Their corruption came from Red Liberia, even though they were being censored by external forces or the U.S. government, but the problem came from Liberia. So why is it true that the government don't want to prosecute them? I believe that political party and our men Congo should lead the fight and take the guys in the court that they why they did Brother Samuel Castle Pollution, then they go in court and make them have to contest any election in Nigeria. That's the only way. It will say if they leave with the government will not take the guys in the court because the government know they got part of the
Are you saying the citizens should
legally is the government the prosecutor
yeah, but they can file the government the prosecutor but the political party can file a lawsuit.
The Treasury Department will not give the political party or its lawyer the facts.
Oh, they can file, they can do that. It's possible.
Okay.
They can do that.
Right. I see there's a divided house here with your guy.
I said, other way that case will be prosecuted. If we say if a political party sit and say it left with the government, you know, the guy they are part of the network. They will not go anywhere and they will give the guy they were fair or passing because the election commission.
They're accusing the political party of sanction.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's leave it there. From facial expressions, I don't think Sissy is in line with this here.
Yeah, but that's my closing comment. That's the party take the fight.
Right. Okay. So I think the doctor is starting down a very slippery slope. So what happens with Zolizo? Do we also go and sue the government because they have not investigated Zolizo?
So this is not political. They were talking about those.
Well, no, you can't because there's a thing. It was an action against the state. Zolizo was accused of stealing, theft against the state. So as far as things go, unless these people have been found guilty in the court of competent jurisdiction in Liberia, they have not committed any crime. And the individual citizens do not have the authority to push that through the court. You can do pressure group, you can mount pressure campaign, you can lobby, and you can protest, but there is nothing, because if you start that, what is saying that why when they fire people, the first guy that George we have fired, Dwana Sanya, why didn't we go and push him to be investigated? Why aren't we pushing people who stole from Douala Market? So that becomes a slippery slope. And we can't say, well, we can only do it for these people, but then we can sue for the other people, right? So I don't even think there's a constitutional standing on that. However, though, I do agree that the census should not. This is not the time the election commission to be practicing with biometric when we have an issue of census, and we are going to not just legislative elections. We're going to presidential and legislative elections. This is not the time to be testing. This is not when you beta test a technological issue, because this is not when you start to think about bugs in the system. Like I said the last time, if we're trying to transition to biometrics, which is good, it's technology, we should try it, we should beta test it on a lower scale. Like when we have some of these off-year elections, or we have some of these special elections, you can test it then and try to figure out the bug, because you'll be dealing with a very small sample space and a very small population. But to test this out in the general presidential and high-stake national elections would be a mistake. I think they should leave that alone and just focus on getting our people counted properly and getting our people registered properly.
All right, gentlemen, best of commentators, analysts, political pundits. Hopefully, you guys got to bring your people now. They are all candidates now. We will count on you to bring them here so we can quiz them. You don't allow them. We can't just slam George. We are CDC and your people go slow away. They need to answer some tough questions.
Talk to the doctor. The doctor can make the counselor available. I mean, I don't know if Jonathan will want to make Cummings available.
Why are you? This guy, do we need to pour an Amagadi ring out here? Let's say, and the ANC people, I don't. Jonathan, you want to take on say, or maybe you want to call somebody, maybe Yasindi?
No, we better take it on Sese. I mean, Sese is not on.
Cool. I'm just
exchange quite.
Okay. So what? By George, is that Cummings been calling you off and on? Who calling you?
Man, we're having some kind of bad weather tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the weather is getting ugly here too. Getting stuff. Yeah. Okay, so let's hear from your final word. Oh. Yeah, it's really bad.
Jonathan, you can do fundraiser for the paper. You're getting good network instead of Lone Star Network. ANC, you know how to raise plenty of money back.
All right. The other trouble here, don't put me in a situation I can't handle here. I beg you. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much and have a pleasant. We will be back here tomorrow, same time, same network, with more community and national conversation. Until then, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, folks, that does it this evening. I'm Alfonso Z and Salt of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv.
I love TVP. My God can heal any sickness. My God can heal anybody. My God can do any miracle. My God can do what no man can do.
Yes, of course, God can do anything. They can do it. What, folks, to our many viewers, listeners across the globe, thank you so much for sharing your evenings, your morning, depending on your locations. Nasha, Richard, Monty, God, Favor, Dalit, I love that. Daniel, Fasu, Mohammed, Modbat, we want to thank all of you so much. Our man, David Guet. Hopefully everything is going on good. Sonin Dosud, thank you so much for your time. By God's willing, we're going to be back here tomorrow with more programming, with happenings in and outside of Moro, Liberia. And this Sunday is going to be a big one. The Liberian word today is like a teacher sits under the student becomes the teacher, and the teacher becomes the student. That's what's going to be happening here, interestingly. He's one of my mentors. I work with him, and we still continue to work together. He's a former Minister of Government, Republic of Liberia. Kai Gerald is the author and an award-winning journalist. He's currently based in the USA. He's the author of the book. It's a new memoir. It's available now on Amazon. Trust me, if you don't know the history of Liberia, some other hidden things that you don't know, get this book. It's available on Amazon. Liberty Hijack, the histories of the laws of the Liberty Device Liberia. Very interesting memoir, very loaded with information that you want.
All you will do, no one can change your plan, no one can change your power. I'm ready to rage, to stay on the same.
So Minister Kai Jaragula will be my special guest this Sunday. The Liberian War today is 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. GMT in Liberia. The program will be aired on our sister network, Daska Communication Network and LPR joining forces in the content of sharing news content. This is the voice of that's the voice of K Praise. It's a Liberian gospel artist. He's based in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Courtesy of his beautiful son, our God can do anything. We want to thank you so much for your time this morning, this evening, depending on your location. Join us tomorrow for more conversations, happenings in Liberia and the rest of the world. Did I hear this event news information was popping up while I was on air? Al Jazeera, CNN, a major cable network, former President Donald J. Trump is in the race, as announced. He's contesting. All right. We want to thank you so much for your time this evening, your comment, your tweet. Don't hesitate to make a suggestion as to how we can enhance broadcasting. This Sunday, that will be the 20th, and on the 27th, I'm going to be having one of the senatorial hopeful going to be appearing here at on Liberia Public Radio, the Liberian War today. Victoria Kwekwe is contesting in a heavily crowded field, Mossoraro County. She's in the race representing the Alternative National Congress, ANC. Will be my guest right here the following Sunday. That will be on the 27th. But join us this Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Legendary Kai Jaragula is an award journalist, winner, and author from a minister of government. That was my own boss. But we have agreed we're going to do, all of us going to do our work. Questions will be asked. The teacher will become the students, and the students will become the teacher this coming Sunday. It's quite interesting. A little bit nervousness is there, but we have made that crystal clear. He's a guy of principle, so we want to do a fair balance. Kai Jaragula will be my guest this Sunday. Liberian War Today going to visit every segment of our Liberian society. No one will be left behind. The technocrats, the author, politicians, stakeholders, artists, ordinary Liberians. Everyone will be given the voice, and everybody will be involved in the national conversations of our country. That's what we intend to do, and that's what we will do. That's what makes it the Liberian War Today. We strongly feel that certain segments of our society is being left out of the political conversations, infrastructure, economic, health, as well. This is where the country is going, why it is. It is important that all will put all on the table and have this conversation, holding everything constant to the government, to the opposition, to those of us in the media. And you as citizens, we must all be held accountable. Things that we say, things that we alter, because it does have the propensity to degenerate our country into chaos. And so we must all be held accountable. You don't have to be a president. You don't have to be a speaker. You don't have to be a vice president before you're held accountable. You as a citizen, we all have a shared responsibility in making sure our country is up to the task and do what we're supposed to do. We want to thank you so much for your time this evening, this morning, depending on your location. Join us tomorrow, same time, same network. I am Afonso Z, and so have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
It's the time to come together. Keep Liberia safe forever. So open up your heart and let your unity begin. Love is all we need to make it stand. sister.
Everybody, everything's going bad. The situation getting worse. Everybody in the country getting mad. Dishonesty, poverty on the rise. The leaders them making empty promises. Promises with no damn strategies. Yeah, they say better days, money in their pockets. Oh, as a holidays only for the bosses. Yeah, there's a better days, money in your pockets. Holidays only for the bosses. Oh yo, hey, what about the children? What about the people? What about your families? What are they gonna eat? Yeah, so Sophie and we wait for you. Yeah, so. They don't really care about you. They don't care my people, it's true. They don't want to see you break through. The whole country's getting confused. Corruption, no questions. The country's going in the wrong direction. Leaders high belly, many mentions. We don't know where the money come from.